Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for October 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see my extensive resources to assist you in so many areas of life, and if you would love to have a personal reading with me, I am open again for taking live clients on. I had been on sabbatical for a while, so you can see that at anniehelpsyou.com. So what's going on in October? I guess in some ways we have less going on than we have had going on in recent times. Very busy time in the cosmos, but still there is enough to talk about and enough to work with. So I'm going to give you an overview of the most prominent aspect this month, which is Venus retrograde. Venus rules love, romance, beauty, aesthetics, design, money, business, finances. So like a big area, a big part of life is covered in this one energy. So I have done a very comprehensive job making sure that you at least have the option to be prepared for this transit. October 5th through November 15th is the actual transit, but there's a shadow period for a month before and a month after. Sometimes people will say, why do you talk about this in the shadow period? And I will say very easily, the rules of the retrograde apply in the shadow period. That's it, straight up simple. You'll see the manifestations, the challenges, the opportunities show up in the shadow periods as well. So you need to be aware of those time frames. Okay, so I'm going to talk about today for Saggies, where in the chart Venus is retrograde and what particular things to look out for and opportunities to take for that placement. I'm going to break it down by early, middle, and late degree placement as I always do. And I'm going to talk about some other things. In general, I want to say that I love this time for Saggies. This is like, I'm a Sagittarius too, so I definitely watch this chart very closely. When the planets move into Libra, that air sign sends 60-degree kisses to our Sag placements. So the more Sag placements you have, the more kisses all those planets moving through Libra give you. It's air that fuels your fire. So you may get very ambitious, very excited, very creative at this time. When the planets start to move into Scorpio, a lot of times Saggies get, it's a little bit different than that, right? Because it's a water sign, it douses our fire, it gets us really internal, it's kind of uncomfortable. And the, weeks before our birthdays or when the sun crosses over the rising, for you Sag rising people, that gets a little bit, mucky, I would say, okay? But so we've got this time in October of predominantly Libra energies. Then towards the end of October, we got this muckiness until the planets start getting into Sag, including Jupiter, which is gonna really, really help us to rip roar. Okay, so that's just kind of like a couple of month, very fast overview of some things we have coming. But the general energies for Sag have been helping us to build a financial foundation, not only from earning more money, but also from making better financial decisions. Sag energy in general can be very open and free. That may or may not be accurate for you. It depends on a lot of different placements in your chart. But if you are free with your money, that could mean that you're always on shaky ground. So the aspects that have been happening over time have been giving you the option to firm up your financial security and have just more of an anchor. And this also directly relates to your work. Money doesn't always relate to work, right? Sometimes we get money from other places. And work doesn't always relate to money. Plenty of people are famous or known within their field and aren't, super well off, right? So there isn't always a relationship between these things. But in the charts for Saggies, this building process of having people know you more, getting wiser with your money, possibly creating more money, and then getting more established in your field is a long-term theme. So this energy of Venus retrograde is amplifying what's going on here. So if you have any issues, this is what retrogrades do and other aspects too, right? They bring up weak spots. So if you have anything in your love, romance, self-worth, finances that aren't working, all those things that you just kind of swept under the rug gets picked up, all the stuff is floating all around, and for better or worse, you have to deal with it. The more you deal with it, the better it will be. So you're going to have things come up from the past, challenges as well as opportunities. Money from the past could come in. I'm calling the theme of this month the money boom. And that's just because there's so much potential for money making. If you're not making money and your foundations have not been getting stronger over these recent months, then please find Margaret Lynch on YouTube and start doing her inner work as it relates to targeted EFT tapping for your foundational money issues that you are imprinted with as a child, okay? Because I always talk about this in the charts. If there's all this potential in a chart, some of you are feeling it. I know a lot of Sagittarius myself, and they're like, woo, big time for us, right? Some other people are like, what about me? It's not happening for me. So I don't want to forget you. It's very important to me that you know that I hear you, and that if these things aren't manifesting, it's because you're not a vibrational match. Okay, so you have to get yourself to be a vibrational match, and doing work that's like targeted to clear out your money paradigms is necessary. And this Venus retrograde could very strongly be bringing that up. Okay, so in general, Venus retrograde is a time to be the earthworm, go back over the soil to make it super fertile for future amazing crops. Not the best time to launch new things, not the best time to make life-changing decisions in the area of love, beauty, or money. Tattoos, body art, designing your home, you know, making big love relationships, taking big love steps, making big money decisions. In general, it's not the best time. There are always caveats to this. You have to follow your own flow, but you're not seeing clearly. Also, you don't have all the information and things are changing rapidly. Okay, so you want to try to wait towards the end of December before you make any big decisions in those arenas if you can, because that's when the Mercury retrograde, the Venus retrograde, the shadow periods, all that stuff passes. Jupiter is in our sign, yay! The personal planets are in our sign, yay! And things can really start flowing in a bigger way for us. Okay, so what does it mean when Venus goes retrograde in the 11th house? This is going to be happening for early and middle degree placements. You're going to have early degree placements will have this all in the 11th house. So that's the first 10 days of the sign, or first 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching for your rising sign. Middle degree placements, like we'll say half of you, you know, so we'll say really the first 15 days or degrees of the sign, you'll be experiencing this predominantly in the 11th house. The rest of the middle degree placements, you'll have Venus retrograde in the 11th house, but you'll also have it in the 10th house. And then you late degree placements, so the end of the sign, the last 10 days, you'll have this in your 10th house. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some implications here. Now, even though I'm breaking it down by your location, still listen to the messages, because the 11th and 10th houses are being aspected for all Sagittarius, just for different reasons. So even if Venus isn't going retrograde through your 11th house because you're a later degree placement, 11th house is being aspected for Sagittarius, all of them. Okay, so these messages may still be true for you, so don't zone out. Stay with me, okay? All right, so Aquarius rules, and the 11th house, this is the house in question here for the first half of the sign. Friends, acquaintances, social connections, groups, social media, teams, large organization, humanitarian efforts, communities, community-based projects, internet, technology, inventions, and innovation. So anything involving those things are likely going to come back up for reevaluation. It's overall a great time to get back connected with friends and acquaintances. They could have important keys for you for your work, or could just be wonderful to connect with them, or you might be able to help them. However you're intuitively guided, it's definitely a good time to get back in touch with people. The social media questions are going to come up, revamping your relationship to social media. Some people will reactivate their Facebook and other pages. Some people will suspend them or step away from them or close them. You know, it's this energy of reevaluating, but there could be some value in going back to the past of something that you did specifically for money and also for romance. You know, for love, opportunities are very likely to come through friends, come from the past, but there are some really strong guidelines about moving forward with romantic relationships, and I don't have time to get into all that now, but I have made for you. Gosh, if you want to be prepared for this transit, then you will love me, because Venus retrograde video, if you search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde on YouTube, you'll have the most comprehensive Venus retrograde period video that there is. my Venus retrograde do's and don'ts blog at anniehelpsyou.com. Best, most comprehensive Venus retrograde blog. And I did a whole, besides that, 12 blog series about Venus retrograde through the houses. So I want to get you ready for this, okay? So you can check all those things out, but I'm going to give you some highlights. Lots of great opportunities to renegotiate all aspects of social connections and technology-based interactions, devices, and methods. You know, are you cracked out on your device? It's time to take a rest. If you could see what I see with my device that measures EMFs, you wouldn't have your phone on you. One day I'm going to do this for you, show you what this looks like. But if you have a device that measures EMFs on computers, on devices, you wouldn't put your phone on your body. You wouldn't do it because there's this energy that's coming off of it and it's disruptive to human energy systems. But in any case, things like that, you might reconsider your relationship. You might reconsider maybe just keeping your ringer off, turning alerts off, anything like that. So some questions that you can proactively ask or that may just come up without you doing anything. What am I looking for from social connections? Are my social groups serving the person that I've evolved into? How do I reconnect with my tribe? Am I supported by or limited by my friends' social contacts and community interactions, okay? See where you're trying to go. Remember this very important thing. You are the company you keep, and Sagittarius are so friendly and so tolerant and accepting of everyone and everything in general, and that's awesome. And there's also room for, and this transit is asking for, discernment as to where you are hanging out. Sagittarius are mutable. You have to remember this about us. We're mutable. So if we're sitting next to this water, we're like, woo, we're watery. If we're by the fire, we're like, woo, you know? I mean, everybody feels energy, but Sagittarius are mutable. So we easily take on the energies. Like we can just roll with whatever's around us. So if you're trying to make more money or trying to do different things in your work and you're hanging out with a bunch of naysayers, people who are not making good financial decisions or working to improve their circumstances, it's really hard to bust out of that. I'm not saying don't be their friends. I'm just saying the paradigms that you're connecting with them with might be what's limiting you. And this cycle might be helping you to see that in bitter ways. So you can still keep your friends, just pay more attention, you know, hang out with people that are doing things that you want to be doing, that you want to create, because that's going to supercharge you in your energy field to take that on and create that for yourself. How can I most support my friends and community? That's another question. Am I maximizing my social connections, the internet-based things, projects to serve my mission? Are my efforts benefiting the greater good? Sagittarius are idealists. They want to do things that help the greater good, whether it's their actual work they're getting paid for or whether it's something else. So going deeper into that question, do I have ideas that could help me and other people make money? Support the community, support other people. Can I help support others' efforts to financially support humanitarian efforts? Does my relationship with technology or social media need to be reevaluated? Oh, by the way, this also can have to do with your privacy settings. This is an amazing time to review your privacy settings. You might be horrified to see some things that these apps and other things are getting away with because of our ignorance. So this is a good time to check that out. Also a good question, could you be utilizing social media and your devices in a broader way? So it's not just, limiting them more or watching out for them. It could be a broader way. Okay, so anything about education on these topics can also be helpful. So my affirmation for you for this month is I create a balanced and fulfilling relationship with technology. Okay, you can see I'm referring to my notes here, which are in my blog. So if you want a written version of the information I'm giving you, then you can see my blog series. Just look up the AnnieHelpsYou.com and then the Venus in retrograde in the 11th house. Okay, so now for those of you in the 10th house, that's the rest of the middle degree placement, so basically the second half of the sign. This has to do with money and love from the past as it relates to work and work-related projects, and also father and authority figures. So anything having to do with asking the question, do you love your work? How can you do it different? Love in the workplace could return. Love for your job could return. Reevaluating your job could return. Making money with a father figure or your dad, something like that could happen. So some questions to ask would be around those things. Questions to ask: does my father or stepdad need me? Can I be helped by my dad or stepdad or other father figure? Do I have some work to do with my relationship with my father? Are there people from the past I could connect with that would advance the career things? What do I need to succeed? How can I get support in getting what I need? Do I need vocational training? All of these things. Rekindling previous work and career connections, bringing harmony back in relationships with father figures. So my affirmation for you is: I draw in full support for living in my highest purpose. Okay, so these are the things that are most on my mind for Saggies. Now I want to just give you some more information, general information on Venus retrograde as a summary, although I do recommend that you still check out my other resources. And also I want to give you some dates that I love and dates to watch out for in October. So I'm calling the theme of October 2018 for all signs Venus retrograde on the positive tip. We've already talked about what Venus retrograde in the house that it's retrograde for your sign can look like for you and some strategies to best utilize that. And now I want to give you some general things, especially some positive things, but also with a few cautionary notes and just a reminder that really you have to go watch my Venus retrograde video, Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde, and definitely look at the written version in my blog at anniehelpsyou.com, because there's so much to know about this transit. It's so long. It's from October 5th through November 15th as the actual retrograde, but a month before and a month after is the shadow period when we're going to these rules will apply. So one of the best things that Venus retrograde is amazing for is working on self-esteem. Everything that Venus rules, love, beauty, design, money, comes back to this energy of relationship with self. So our relationship with money and business, our relationship with other people, our relationship with how we feel like we look, all has to do with our self-esteem. So that's why in general it's not favored to try to push out in any of these other arenas, because it's really a time to locate and clear issues that are holding you back from the inside. So inner work, prayer, meditation, affirmation, anything where you can heal from trauma and anything that's negatively affecting your self-esteem is amazing for this time. Something else that's amazing for this time is to look to the past for improvements for love and money. Okay, so that means like if you did something with your partner in the past that worked really well, or if in general you did certain things with your love life in the past that worked really well. There could be like a renaissance, a returning back to things that worked really well. Many people who are separated from their love will have them come back to them in Venus retrograde. If there's someone that you left off with and you're not sure about, sometimes they come knocking again in Venus retrograde. And it's a really amazing time to reconsider things. And assess. It's just not the best time to commit to anything that you're figuring out from the assessments. Something that Venus retrograde is amazing for is for treasure hunters. If you are looking for a deal on something, unfortunately, this is coming from the fact that many people are not seeing clearly in money, and they're selling things of value for emotional reasons at crazy low prices. So if you have money to spare, you could wind up picking up an amazing deal. It's just a treasure hunter's delight. Definitely be careful though, because it could also, something you buy could become a money pit. So you have to make sure that you're getting a really great deal, and that, like if it's a house or something, you really need to do as many inspections as possible and just make sure, you have all your bases covered, extra inspections like sewage, septic, whatever, everything that you can do to make sure that that what you're buying isn't going to have any negative surprises, then it could turn out really well. You just have to look out for that. So in general, going back to the past for love, going back to the past for money and business, things that worked in the past with money, clients from the past. If you do something like you teach or offer something regularly, sometimes in a Venus retrograde, you'll have a bunch of people from the past who had been considering taking this offering might come out in full force. And of course, it could happen the other way. A lot of people do have financial issues, like financial backlog, where they have trouble with their finances. And then that's going to point to healing some inner issues that are causing these reflections or the lack of stability. Okay, so I'm going to talk about hit some sweet spots and hit some challenging spots in the month. Remember, definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter, because there I give you a write-up of this general transit in more detail with lots of dates of actual aspects, what the aspects are, and what to look out for each aspect so that you can plan ahead. I always send these out a month early. And if you are signed up for my newsletter and you're not getting these, I'm definitely sending them. I always send them meticulously on time. So you definitely check for like your spam, promotions, or social folders, because if you're not getting in the inbox, they're going there. And then you can just move it over to your inbox or whitelist the email on there to get them in there. Okay, so let's just do a quick review of some sweet spots. Well, actually, let's do the challenging ones first. Okay, so we've got things to look out for on October 2nd, 5th, 8th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 23rd, 24th, and 31st, with extra emphasis on those ones towards the end of the month, the 24th and the 31st. Now, it's interesting because in general, the second half of the month has a lot better flow and sweet energy, with the exception of those two spots. Okay, those are oppositions with Uranus that can bring jolts and surprises. That could be challenging. So just kind of tread lightly around those days. And then the other ones that I listed, you could see some challenges. Always look out around the full moon, which is like the 24th, because, you know, there could be drama or there could be fulfillment, completion or fruition. And that's going to be in these energies of Taurus. So fullness, completion, drama, fruition coming to things involving money and business and self-worth. There's a topic coming up again, sensual delights, material resources, environmental and sustainability projects, boundaries, resistance to change, things like that. Oh, and anything having to do with your throat, vocal cords, thyroid gland, etc. could bring things to light, or bring things up to be dealt with. Okay, so I want to end off talking about the sweet spots. We've got some of the days that could turn out to be challenging could also turn out to be super sweet. So you'll hear when I list the sweet vibe days. And always remember, when I give you these dates, we could feel the energies before or after the actual date, because there's an orb of energy around each transit. So don't stick too heavily to the dates, just kind of tune into how you are experiencing the energy. So sweet spot possibilities on the 5th, the 8th, the 15th, the 19th, the 22nd, the 24th, the 26th, the 27th, and the 29th. In general, the second half of the month, like I said, has a lot of sweetness, with the exception of the 23rd, 24th, and the 31st, some things to look out for. But there's some really awesome things going on, like October 22nd. Mercury is making a beautiful aspect to Pluto. So your powers of persuasion are improved and your powers of perception are improved. Then there's also this October 27th with the Sun in Scorpio making an amazing aspect to Saturn. So this is a great energy to get things done, and also an enhanced possibility of being seen or acknowledged by somebody in a position that you want to notice you. So it could be like someone in your family that you've always been kind of chasing their approval, or it could be somebody, you know, in the work world. October 29th, there's this mixed bag, but it really has potential for a lot of good news and good luck. Mercury and Jupiter get together. So whenever any of these personal planets get together with Jupiter, the energy of luck, you know, amplifies out, and Mercury rules news. So some good news about money, about something involving your partner. It could be money from your partner. It could be your own money. Lots of magical potentials here. Of course, it could also bring intensity to conversations, you know, in the Scorpio realms or something like that. But in general, I'm looking for that day, hopefully, to have some good vibes. So overall, this month of October, some little awkward spots, and definitely the Venus retrograde is going to have this shadow. But if you understand the energies, as you will if you use all of the many resources that I made for you, then I think that this can be a really sweet month. And for the things that are challenging, you could really have pure alchemy to turn the lead to gold. So Go to anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. You can also see more about my personal live readings, which I'm off sabbatical and I'm taking taking new clients now. If you've been wanting to have a reading and have me look at your chart. Also, if you would love to learn astrology, check out my astrology apprenticeship program. I also have all kinds of other goodies on my website. If you want written horoscopes from me, they go into often different things than I focus on in the reports. So it's a really good written highlight and summary, and includes great reads for each sign. So cozy by sweetstarlight.com. And if you're a traveler and you want to see my astrology travel reports to see what days to look out for specifically for travel, then check out Astrology Kissed Travel Bliss. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.